Okay.
There it is. Hello. Welcome to Dungeons and Discords. It's been a couple weeks, so forgive me if I'm a bit rusty. To start right off in the recap, our group is currently making their way up a narrow ladder that only fits one into a little cave, might be generous, a little hidey hole, if you will. I forget who was in front, but whoever's in front popped their head up and they startled a little goblin, which is the last thing that they recall from the last session. The group went into this hole beneath Shigun's hometown that had been dug out by a creature known as a false hydra that had been, for lack of a better word, torturing the citizens and slowly killing them off one by one. The group managed to figure out how to, 1, see it, and 2, defeat it. Killed it, and Shigun and his family are in the process of reconstructing their home. There's a whole bunch of other stuff happening in the background, but we started late, and I don't have time to recap it. So, as you guys climb up to the top of the ladder, there is... You look up and you see this filthy little hole, practically. Not much larger than... I would say not much wider than Rurik and not much taller than Shigun. It's not an incredibly large space. He could fit maybe 2 people if he's scrunched. 1.5 including the goblin. And you pop your heads up and look, and there's a small light. It looks to be a small little illumination up in one corner. And this goblin dressed in relatively fine-looking clothing, but clearly very old and or stolen. The clothing is in tatters, and there are bits of thread hanging off here and there. One of the pant legs is torn off just below the knee. And they look up at you, and you see their eyes go wide for a moment, and they scramble backward and go, hey! And they sort of hold their hand up to shield their face from you for some reason. What would you like to do?
If I recall correctly, I think it was Zook who was at the front and popped up through the...
Yeah, that's what I recall.
I believe it was, because you were the smallest, so you fit through most easily.
I'll frame some curly fries.
Offer him curly fries.
Oh wait, that's metagaming. Sorry.
Ah!
No, oh no, oh no.
I don't know why they keep bullying me.
Did you miss us?
Meta.
So what would you like to do, Zook? At the moment, Zook, you're the only one who sees this. Everybody else is either at the foot of the ladder or just below you.
Good Terry.
Oh, 5e Tools is down. I think I wanna...
Here, let me post the link to 5e Tools, because they... Anyway, sorry, go on.
I think that I want to gently close the hatch, or like lower it a little bit.
Okay, yeah, there's a little
Like
hatch.
try to, you know.
You mean in like a retreating motion?
No, I want to try to appear friendly, right?
Oh.
Like,
Okay.
hey, I'm not here to kill you in your little hideout.
So you
I'm
basically
going to cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay, so you basically back down a step on the ladder, away from them. You're still visible, like your head's still up, but you back down slightly. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. And you cast Comprehend Languages?
Yes.
Okay. I assume just as an action. So you go and you mutter the incantation, and as you're casting the spell, the goblin scoots back a little bit, but there's nowhere for it to go. and you complete casting the spell.
And I offer a tentative hello?
Okay, you say hello to it, and it kind of pauses for a moment. And you hear, "Hey, hello. Why are you here?"
We were wondering what was up here.
I up here.
Zook is talking to someone.
We found this cave connected to the den of a great monster.
Oh, yes. Yes. The snakehead. The snakehead keep me safe.
From what?
He just, like, vaguely gestures upward.
Ah. Okay.
Of note, this is something that all of you would know from having sort of lived in this area. There's no particular, like, hatred or violence against goblins in this part of the world. There isn't, like, you know, like a bounty on goblin scalps or anything. They just kind of tend to be troublemakers. So.
Zook, who are you talking to?
I
There's
will
someone
tell
there?
the goblin that I would like to leave him be, and that I'll discuss it with my friends.
Okay. What language are you speaking in? Comprehend languages allows you to understand languages. It doesn't allow you to speak languages. So what language are you speaking in at the moment? I assumed common.
Well, the only ones I have are common and gnomish, so I'm using common.
Okay. So you're speaking in common. Yep. So it seems to understand you, at least. So.
And I close the hatch.
Okay, you just back down and close the hatch. The rest of you, as Zook kind of backs down a bit, the hatch closes, the light shuts off from the incline, the tunnel. And
I explain
whoever's directly below Zook has to shuffle down a little.
that a goblin's hiding here. And
Goblin.
it has nothing to do with the false hydra. It's just scared that the humans will come kill it. So, I vote we leave it be.
Are you sure he's telling the truth? This seems a little strange for there to be a goblin living underneath my town.
Can Zook describe the goblin well enough for message to work?
Message.
I
sending.
describe the goblin by saying that there's a goblin.
Message.
I mean, all goblins are the same, so yes.
I mean, Jesus Christ. So I would say, because of the way the spell's worded, you only have to know it's there. You don't have to be familiar. So, unlike sending, you don't have to be familiar with it or know its name. You just have to know it's there, and like vaguely how far away it is. So, if Zook provides you with that information, I'd say you'd be able to send a message. Yeah, why not?
Strange,
I'm
there
just
shouldn't be any
thinking that,
goblins
like,
far up the mountain.
It was relying on the thing to, like, essentially obstruct the entrance and keep it safe. So,
Zook,
maybe...
something not that caught your eye, because it's not a super important detail, but the small space that was there was absolutely filled with, I was about to say shit, but it's not literal feces, it's just filled with stuff, just cluttered with stuff. Most of it seemed to be broken, but like his clothing was probably in good working order at one time, but is now not so great. Oh, and I'm so sorry, Prudence. I wasn't looking at that screen. Prudence,
You know...
just why is it scared?
I don't know. I assume that it believes the town is intrinsically hostile to goblins.
No, we haven't had a goblin problem up here in far back as I can remember.
Did you ask him? That seems like something pretty significant to
I
assume.
haven't asked him about a lot of things. It's
Normally I would make this roll in secret, but this is my first time rolling my poop die, so I'm gonna make a big deal out of it. My copperlight die.
How fitting for the hobo goblin.
Oh no, I rolled like poop. Carry on.
Roll shit, get shit.
Pretty much.
it. Basically,
When you roll
we're on very tenuous diplomatic terms, so I'm not entirely sure how to proceed.
You spoke, what, 2 lines to him?
Zook, you can hear.
Yeah.
If you're still right by the hatch, I assume. You can hear just of weight being put very slowly and attempting to be quiet, but not doing a very good job of it on the hatch, as you feel you can hear just like a weight going onto the hatch ever so slightly.
I think he's trying to close the hatch, like put a couch on top of it or something.
It doesn't sound like something's being slid over it. It sounds like either something's being placed or something's stepping on it or something of that nature.
Did Zook provide the information that I need?
There's a goblin and it's up there.
Okay.
I'd say that's good enough.
Zook, do you think the goblin is hostile or dangerous?
I don't know. I think it easily could become hostile if we handle this wrong.
Well, I
would like to cast a message.
Okay, you go ahead and cast message as Prudence shuffles in his bag and pulls out his crowbar.
Oh boy.
Hoyd, what do you message to the goblin?
I wave down the crowbar wizard.
Okay.
Hello, friend. We mean you no harm.
There's a beat, and Zook, you hear as the message is cast, you hear the weight suddenly pull off the surface, and you hear back, "How I know."
Have we assaulted you yet? Do we mean you harm directly? No, we freed you.
There isn't a response to that one.
I did tell Hoyd that, like, this creature was hiding from the town and using the Hydra as cover.
Well, the town is no more. There's nothing to be afraid of.
I did say that, like, I just want to get it on the record.
Those of you with dark vision, so everyone but Shigun, if you're looking vaguely in Prudence's direction, you can see him mouth, "But it's evil." I swear to God, I will settle on an accent for you eventually. It's only been a year and a half, and
I like the ever-changing accent. It adds character.
And I will whisper back to Prudence, I don't care. And I motion at myself.
From a tiefling.
Now you care.
I'll cast another message at him.
Okay.
What are you afraid of down here? Is it the town?
People, not... That's all you get. Not that the message failed, it just struggled to come up with a suitable answer.
Are you afraid of humans?
As you're casting this, Prudence puts his crowbar back in his bag and sort of shuffles back down off the bottom of the ladder and slightly down the path, slightly down the little tunnel there to make way. I'm sorry, repeat the message?
Are you afraid of humans?
Afraid of everything big.
Oh, Zook, go in and say hi.
He already did.
Properly.
Do you tell him what the goblin says? What
Yes.
the goblin said back in the message? Okay.
Wait, if you want to take point, then like, I'm happy to let you do that because I honestly have no idea how to handle this situation.
But I am big, and you are not. He is less threatened by you.
Okay, but your head is not big.
No. Wait. What?
You can just peek through. You don't have to like enter the room.
How do you know
I'm
his
pretty
head?
sure
Never mind.
Hoyt's head is pretty big.
I'm willing to hear the goblin out, but I'm not immediately trustworthy of it. Not with everything that's been going on.
Well, Shigun, would you prefer to remove the goblin from your house? Or would you prefer to negotiate and see what he does? Why is he here?
Like
I'm
I said,
climbing down the ladder.
I'm willing to hear him out. I just don't immediately trust him.
Okay, Zook,
And
Zook slides down the ladder. Sorry, carry on. I'm just saying Zook has shuffled to the bottom of the ladder.
Oh, I like Prudence's comment. It makes sense.
Peeking through is a recipe for surprise decapitation.
That doesn't sound very tasty.
Necks are thick, you'll live.
Famous last words. Well, you're not meant to eat it, especially considering you'll have no head.
Rurik, you are also small.
Relatively.
he's wide
I am wide
and clangy.
and very clangy.
For reference,
He knows we're here.
for reference, dwarves are medium-sized, despite their height.
Wait a minute, why do we need to enter its room at all? You have message.
I'll cast
Can we
another
just keep using
message
that?
out here.
Okay, you cast another message.
See if you can coax it down here on its own accord.
You have my word. We will not harm you. I just mean to talk.
The room is tiny and full of trash, so...
How I know your word good.
Because I swear it on the name of House Fortemps.
I'm assuming that, Hoyd, you're repeating what he says back to the group?
Yes, and I will repeat.
Or Shigun, Shigun, do you shout that up to through the door?
Well, actually, would I even have heard that, or is Hoyd relaying everything to us?
I'm relaying. I'm relaying what I want to, which, yes, I'm relaying that.
I will say it upward, loud enough that he can hear me. Yeah.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
pitch your voice to sort of go up through the hatch, even closed as it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just as a note, I completely forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. Prudence has cast telepathic bond, so everybody except the goblin, so all of you are telepathically linked right now. Just as a note.
Oh, excellent.
For what? It's like a mile range or something. It's something absurd.
It's infinite.
Oh no, that's right. It's any distance, but can't cross planes of existence. That's right. Okay, just as a note. So basically, unless otherwise specified, I'll assume Hoyd, you're just relaying things over. And Shigun, as you call upward, you hear a little shuffle by the trapdoor. Some things being pushed aside and shoved over. Perhaps things that had been on top of the door when Zook pushed up. That's why Zook had a little bit of trouble. Not enough to like stop you from opening it. There was just clutter on it. There's a very tiny little squeak as you see the light start to beam down, and there's a tiny sliver, tiny crack of the trapdoor opens, and you can see the goblin head peering down. Its ugly little yellow skin, sort of mottled with gray little pock marks here and there. And let's see, the height of the ladder. It can really only see Shigun's head, because I think everybody else is too low for it to see at this angle. And you see the goblin eye you up and down, Shigun. And there's a minute where it's just kind of staring at you, waiting for you to do something.
I will take a step or two back to kind of indicate that I'm not, posturing myself as an active threat.
Okay. So you take a step back. I'll say you take a step back. 2 steps back would take you out of the light, which
Okay.
I imagine you're probably not trying to do, because that would be probably seen as a threatening gesture.
No, I'm just trying to make myself not look threatening.
So
as non-threatening as a huge human can be.
Yep, as a bulk meister there. So you take a partial step back, and the trapdoor opens just slightly more. You can see its broken, bent up nose, a pair of twisted ears coming out the side of its head. It continues just watching, but as the light sort of fills more space, you can see its eyes are darting around, trying to take in everything it can see. So it can now see the whole group, but not all of you are in the light.
Does it see me?
Yeah, I would be able to see you.
I will give him a deep bow.
Okay. You give as best of a bow as you can in this space. And the rest of you watch as Hoyd is bowing. It kind of cocks its head curiously, and he calls down, "What you do?"
We explore. We collect knowledge. We
No.
defeat.
What you do? Why you put head to ground?
Why I put head to ground?
He's asking you
I
why.
think he's asking why you're bowing.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm trying to appear meek. Did it work?
Make a charisma check.
Unless
Unless Prudence wants to force you to make it. You roll a 15 plus whatever your charisma mod is.
4.
So 19? Okay.
Yep.
He looks down at you, not suspiciously, but more... how do I describe this?
Quizzically?
Kind of like a someone who's been in the wilderness a long time and has sort of lost touch with what society is and what interaction with other people is. That's the sense you're getting off of this goblin.
They're a teenager.
They're a teenager whose entire social interaction consists exclusively of the League of Legends text chat.
Oh, so they're hikikomori.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay. So you explain this, and the rest of you, with a 19, not bad, watch as the trapdoor, for your importance to work, okay, sounds good. You haven't seen anybody who has made a roll that's not in the party yet, but that's fine. I'll remember that. The the trapdoor swings open all the way, and you now have this beam of light coming down. You see the goblin kind of gesture over its shoulder, and the little light that was on it before returns to its hand, and you can see it's holding a small sphere in its hand now. That's emitting light.
Interesting.
It's a neat little trick you got there.
Does it look magical?
Make an Arcana check.
And specifically, what school of magic?
Well, that would
Like,
you'd have to cast Detect Magic to find that out.
Okay, I'm just wondering if it's the light spell from what I've seen Rurik do.
Make an Arcana check. And while you're doing that, the goblin calls down, "Step away."
All right, you heard the goblin. Just take a step back.
It's a 19.
19. Okay, so with a 19, yep, like Prudence said, the light spell can only light objects. You can't like have light just emitting from nowhere. It is cast on an object. Of note, there is an object. It's a small sphere. It's large in its hand, but in your hand it'd be about palm sized. And it is magical. Like, this is clearly magic. There's no flame involved in the light, but you're not familiar with. It doesn't appear to be the effect of a spell.
Gotcha.
And the rest of you, following, I believe that was Shigun, following Shigun's example, you all take a step back. I assume. Does anybody not?
I'm going to stay put, but also beckon him. Come, sit. Let's talk.
Okay. So you don't take a step back from your position, so you are slightly in the way, I guess I would say. But when you gesture down, I'm just going to continue with your 19. You watch as he mutters a couple of words under his breath and hoists himself up and over the edge of the trapdoor and floats down, landing gently on the ground
kidding.
In front of you.
I will appear impressed, even though it's just a goblin.
Wow. Rude. And then when he reaches the ground, he lets go of the little orb in his hand, and it floats just next to his head, where he left it.
Low.
And then he takes a moment and looks at all of you, and he turns to Shigun, recognizing the emblem on your armor, and he says, "You from," and then he just points up at the end of a sentence.
I am, yes. My family and I live here.
Lived here.
Boyd.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think any of your family died. I think all of your family is still alive. They weren't in the 2/3 of the town that died.
Okay. I didn't remember that.
I believe the Fortemps family was untouched.
I still give Boyd kind of a nasty look.
Still, the shock of the combat is fun. Let's go with it.
I mean, right, that's fair. Okay. He says, "You keep me safe. I come with you."
You live down here? Is this your home?
Is no home. No home.
Okay.
Is not right to have home. Was told. No home.
Interesting.
I see.
Who said it was not right to have a home?
Prudence
Everyone should have a home.
Prudence cuts in. Safe from what? And Prudence, he turns, and as he gets a full look at you, you see his eyes kind of widen slightly as he takes in your more devilish features. And he says, "Safe from... Safe..." He kind of stumbles on his words for a second. He says, "Safe from... world. There..." You see him starting to try to recall exactly what he's trying to describe. They're not... Other goblins not like me. Other goblins throw me away. I try to find home. There is no home.
So you're an outcast.
hard to protect.
These other goblins sounds like jerks.
It hard to protect yourself when you alone.
That's true. It can be.
Are we gonna adopt a goblin?
Well, the Hydra, the false Hydra that used to live here, we slew it. It's no longer alive because it was attacking my villa.
The snakehead.
Yes, I think that's what you called it.
It ponders for a moment and nods and says, "Makes sense. Dangerous. Very dangerous."
So were you hiding from the snakehead, or?
Yes and no. I find ways of not being appealing. It not want me.
Okay.
I make sure it not want me.
How did you manage that? That's quite a feat.
He kind of gives you a sidelong look and says, "There are ways."
Well, that's what I asked you. This is amazing.
It kind of cracks a smile, and you can see its chipped and yellowed teeth. Maybe not reveal all my tricks.
I am face palming
in
at this
case
point.
I need them.
Well, we just want to make sure that, you had no real connection to it, because that snakehead killed a lot of my friends, killed a lot of my townspeople.
Kind of. You see, it looks sad almost. It was fascinating creature. Makes sense. You had to kill it, but still sad. It is gone from this world.
So you sound like maybe you're a researcher.
It kind of cocks his head. What mean, researcher?
Study, learning, just figuring stuff out about the world, strange creatures, that sort of thing.
Perhaps. Perhaps not. I see world, I learn from world. It is simple.
Excuse me. I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Yes. And it turns and regards you, Rurik. Yes. Large metal man.
Have you remained down here all this time, or have you ventured above before?
When it catches itself, when Hydra leave whole, I find if I keep close, I can remain unseen. I have ventured up, yes. I have retrieved things from they not want, not need anymore.
I happened across a book recently that had scrawlings of various details regarding this creature, and I reach into my pack tentatively to bring it out and show it. Did you happen to are you familiar with this book at all?
You see his eyes widen, and he, unlike his sort of previous guarded demeanor, he practically scrambles up to you and reaches for it.
Oh wait, I wouldn't have that with me, would I? Ah crap! That was a mistake on my part. I don't think I would actually have that with me.
Oh, is it in the cart?
No, it would be with the remainder of my stuff with the potion brewing and all that. I don't have a lot on my person right now.
You could always mention it.
Yeah, instead of showing it, I will mention the book instead.
Okay, so you describe it a bit more.
Apologies. Yeah,
Um,
I'll describe it.
So, tiny rewind. Obviously, he doesn't scramble up to it, but he says, it in book about, and you see he's kind of cocks his head and looks off into the middle distance as he's thinking. Not remember words, but pictures of Snakehead. Yes, I lost. It was lost. You found?
I believe so. I'd be happy to show it to you if you're willing to accompany us back above ground.
It glances upward toward the still open trapdoor, and he kind of gestures upward and just does a quick flick with his fingers, and you watch the trapdoor close. And he kind of takes a deep breath. Yes, I see book. I look at drawings, sketches.
Yes, I believe there were many sketches in this book, but I haven't had the time to go through it in its entirety yet. I think it may be of interest to you.
Maybe. And make a make an insight check.
An insight.
I think that's in, or not in wisdom.
It's wisdom.
It is.
Yeah, it's wisdom.
Prudence hasn't said anything, so I'm assuming that's a gnome on the roll. Oh no, never mind. So,
Well, his other portent at the moment is a 5, so unless he wants you to fail,
fair.
Oh, it's a 4.
it's a 4. Excuse
Even
me.
better, even worse.
You can see now he was very guarded and he was very careful and very sort of not untrusting exactly, but just sort of a little fearful of you. But when the book was mentioned and described, a lot of that seemed to drop away. So it seems that he's more interested in getting back to this book and seeing it than he is afraid of whatever.
Hoyt, for context, this was a book that we found while we were looting the one place.
I believe it was in the potion store.
Yes, we happened to come across it, and it was a book that detailed a bunch of various aberrations and the like, and there was a bunch of crawlings and sketches and notes about the false Hydra.
Oh. Is that the Goblin's book?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Because no one else has seen the Hydra, right?
That is correct.
Or remembers seeing the Hydra.
Wasn't there that one deaf guy? It could have been him.
No.
Oh, the deaf cult guy that was interested in artifacts?
No, there was a guy who was deaf, as in he couldn't hear.
Oh, deaf! Oh.
Was there a deaf person?
I don't remember that.
I'm reaching into my brain and I can't reach.
I don't recall there being one, at least in this campaign. There's a character in the Monday campaign who is mute.
I gave one of the guards earplugs just to ruin his day, but that was it.
I don't recall there being a deaf character in this town.
Yeah, all I remember is the earwax, the wax plugging.
Mm-hmm.
And how Hoyd tried to antagonize him over it.
Yeah.
Is this for your own good? Possibly.
So what's the plan?
I would be happy to. Well, we first need to figure out how to get out again. All right, there. Oh, right, there was the rope.
I was gonna say, yeah, it wasn't incredibly difficult. You also have a number of other less mundane ways out of the hole.
We can also ask the goblin, how do we get out of here?
Yeah, how did you get to the surface?
You see him grin so widely, and you've encountered a few goblins. Most of the goblins you encountered, you were busy killing or scaring.
Except for the one.
Except for the one that you terrified. But that's fine.
I thought I was kind.
Scaring.
But you
I consider myself an expert in these matters.
so you haven't had the opportunity to see the sort of full range of goblin emotion, if you will. But you see a very amused grin sort of spread across his wide face. And he says, easy! Snaps his fingers and poof, disappears.
That bastard.
Ah. You think he'll come back?
I poke where he was.
There's nothing there.
Excellent, so it wasn't invisibility. I know those things.
No, he didn't just become invisible to fuck with you. Prudence, actually, with your knowledge, you would fairly easily recognize he casts Dimension Door.
That was my second guess.
I have no idea what Dimension Door does because I haven't seen it yet.
It's a spell that does exactly that. He's gone.
Prudence.
Oh, I figured.
Prudence
I'm just
aware-
curious what the specifics are.
Yeah, you've seen Prudence use Dimension Door before.
I'm drawing
It's-
a blank then.
It's basically a sort of localized short-range teleport. You can take one person with you. Obviously, the goblin did not opt to take one person with him, but yeah,
Nice.
Generally you can. The way it's normally flavored is a portal opens up and then you step through it. In this case, you would have seen him just snap his fingers, take a step back through this sort of almost purplish miasma plasma stuff, and then that immediately disappears.
All right then. I believe we can reasonably assume he's on the surface now. We should join him.
Prudence, would you mind?
Which, fortunately, you're not 500 feet from the surface, so. I would like to conserve my spells, so let's go the mundane way.
Well, that's boring.
I don't know, it's fun.
You're boring.
No. No, you.
I will accept that as canon for Prudence.
You're boring.
Is my spider climb still active? Did I use that?
It's pragmatic.
You did use
It's pragmatic. We mustn't show him what spells we're capable of unless we have to.
So,
when did
telepathically this time.
Sorry, you had spider climb to get down the hole, correct, Zook?
I think so.
How long does spider climb last? 10 minutes?
Let me check.
I think it's an hour?
If it's an hour, yes. If it's 10 minutes, no. Basically.
Concentration up to an hour.
Then yes.
Cool. I'll climb out of the hole.
Okay. So you just you do that thing. You step onto the wall sideways and step onto the wall sideways, and you just walk straight up the hole.
Oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
I just inception out of there.
You do the chakra climb.
Yes. I mean, you can tell. Obviously, he's still being affected by gravity. You see, he has to struggle to stay upright, but yeah, he is able to walk
And,
with
like,
relative ease upward.
And like the slack on my clothes is still pointing downward.
Right, everything's
Going to
still pulling
feel
downward, and
himself up the wall.
his cape is still slinging down, but...
Which means now I look extremely ridiculous because my cape is completely perpendicular to my
Hey.
body.
You're just a man walking through a high wind, that's all.
I'm just doing it, yeah.
Alright, so Prudence, as Hoy, do you suggest that you explore his not home? And
Mhm.
Prudence says, yes, that sounds like an excellent idea. And I'll do that just after you discover all the traps.
Excellent.
I'm not
That's-
sure how comfortable I feel about that, but
So Zook, you
Okay.
are up and out of the hole right now.
I'm going to make my way up. I'm going to go back to the rope and start climbing up myself.
Okay.
I want no part of
You go to
invading
the
someone's
rope and
home that
climb
I
up.
pretended to befriend.
I'm going to go topside as well. That way, there's no confusion with any of the guards.
Oh, by the way, Deer's token is a corgi right now. I know she's not a corgi, but that's her token right now.
Arc.
Okay,
so
so
Hoyd will
Hoyd will
take
go
a
up
look
the ladder.
around.
Okay,
Yep.
so as soon as you're like even a little bit out of eye shot, Prudence will go up the ladder too. So not up the ladder. Sorry, Prudence will go
away.
up.
So
out
I'm
of the
alone doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Excellent. As it should be.
Where's Deer during this? So he's been sort of like stalking around your feet and glaring at the goblin, and the goblin is gone now, so she's just sort of grooming herself, and then when you move away, she follows you and kind of stalks behind you,
Goblin has done nothing wrong.
and she flies up with you as you climb. Okay, so Hoyd, I'll do your thing because it'll probably be shorter than whatever they're doing. So, Hoyd, you climb up the ladder. You get up to the trapdoor. You just push the trapdoor open.
Mhm.
I say trapdoor. It's not a trapped door. It's just you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Okay.
It's a door in the
The door
floor
in
of
the
a
floor.
room.
Yeah, it's a door on the
Floor.
floor, or in this case, the ceiling.
Yes. Absolute floor.
You push the trapdoor open. It hits something, and it doesn't swing all the way open, and it hits something heavy on the opposite side. Looking around the space, the first thing that hits you is the smell. It's not disgusting. It's not rotting. It's just very musty and old. It's not. It's like if you. I mean, I know you have because I've been in your house. You've been in the attic that nobody's been in a long time, and it's made out of like unfinished wood and stuff. Yeah, it's like that kind of smell. It's
Okay.
the space is in disrepair, if even such a thing can be used, if even such a word can be used to describe it. But it's very musty and dusty, and you can pick up very faint whiffs of some kind of just very faint, pungent, chemically smell.
So near abandoned.
Near abandoned, and you would think abandoned had you not just seen the resident of this space.
Sure. So very much kept as a not home.
Right, it's a not home.
I was right. He is a hikikomori.
Oh no, the furries. Not that kind of home. Not that kind of not home. Oh, none of you get that. It's okay.
Yeah, this is for the best. We will
I
not
was-
continue this in the Friday conversation.
I was a child once. Anyway, so what do you do first? You swing open the trapdoor, poke your head up, and look around. Like I said, same as the description when Zook poked his head up. There's just stuff everywhere. You can
So-
see some bags off to one side. You see a pile of what appears to be just mismatched cloth. Everything is sort of vaguely arranged into various piles. You do see to one side, just immediately, without even having to make a check, you do see to one side there's a pile of coins, maybe about, I don't know, just a couple layers deep. Not a huge pile, but there's a pile.
Okay.
There's
So my
there's
purpose,
Yep, go ahead.
my purpose for looking, isn't to necessarily loot his home or not home. It's to learn more about him and his motivations, how he lives.
Okay. Make. This is gonna sound weird, but bear with me. Make an insight check.
Nope, that makes
Because
sense.
you're looking into someone's space and trying to discern what kind of person that is based on the information available to you.
That is a 5. They're a goblin.
There's a 5.
Jeez.
They're a goblin.
They're a goblin.
All of your experiences with goblins to this point have led you to the conclusion that he's definitely a goblin. That's for sure.
And I'm convinced I'm an expert in the matter.
You know
Wonderful.
what it's time for? It's time for my third cider. Anyway, what's up?
Are there any exits from the room other than that?
Make a perception check.
What's my mod?
Because you are in total darkness, which means even in your dark vision, it is still dim light.
It's 19. I made up that modifier and happened to be right.
It's a 19. In dim light, you'd actually have disadvantage. So go ahead and roll again, and whichever's lower.
No.
Sorry, them's the rules.
Well, fine. Retcon those rules. 8.
8. So it's right. You have dark vision, but it is total darkness. So in total darkness, everything is dim light. So looking around the space, you don't see any other exits. You see sort of like scrabbling against the dirt of the wall, and as the space had expanded, but you don't see an exit.
Are there any candles or anything of the sort around? Something for him to read by?
I mean, there were a few like discarded. You see a small pile in just various miscellaneous junk. There you can see a candlestick, or not a candlestick, a candle holder with like the stub of a candle left in it.
Enough to actually function?
Probably.
Excellent. I snap it on.
Okay, you prestidigitate the flame on. Johnny Storm. So you, Alright, you pick up the flame, and now you have the flame in the space. The flame is about maybe 5 feet from you, but it is enough to illuminate the entire space. It's not a big space, so. Let's see. Any other details? The only other details that you'd pick up now that there's light behind you. The thing that the trapdoor had landed on appears to be a large, like a single large burlap sack.
And I was looking at what could be that heavy.
I mean, you can think of a lot of things that could be that heavy.
Well, yeah, I'm going to open the bag and see what's that heavy.
Oh, okay. So you climb up the ladder, you swing the trap, or either you swing it shut or you move it so you can get at the bag, and you open it up. And inside is what appears to be... Your first instinct is it's a chest. You can see sort of banded woods, and then you realize, no, it's not a chest, it's a barrel. There's a barrel inside this bag.
That's
it is
different.
shut. It is shut. And in the bag there is what appears to be like soot or ash lining the inside of the bag. Yes, inside the barrel is a smaller bag, and then inside that bag are 3 smaller boxes that all... No.
The weirdest mimic ever.
That is certainly strange.
Looking at the barrel, you do
the barrel
see
is sealed.
The barrel is sealed, but around the seal, around the top, you see more of that sort of ash or soot.
Is there bung somewhere on there, or is it just totally sealed?
I in rolling it over, there is a bung. There's a cork on one side. It's toward the other end of it, so you have to like shuffle the bag out of it. But yeah, you do eventually find a sort of hole there.
Is it enough that I can maneuver the barrel onto its side without total disaster? Or is it that heavy?
It's not a question of weight, it's a question of space. There simply isn't room to roll the barrel very far. So the cork was sort of almost resting against the floor when you found it. If you push it as far as it'll go, it only rotates to about...
Oh, it's on its side.
Yes, the barrel is on its side.
Okay.
The barrel is not upright.
Okay, my concern is if I pull the cork out, am I going to lose all of the contents?
So, the cork, if you roll the barrel... So, let me see if I can find something to describe. I'll use this this business card that I got at PAX. If this is the barrel, right, it's on its side, the meeple here is the cork, and you found it resting sort of against the floor. The furthest you can rotate it is about there, so about level with the floor, pointing straight 90 degrees.
Okay.
That's as far as you can roll the barrel and hit the wall.
Do I smell anything around the barrel other than just this musty old smell?
So as you get closer to the barrel, this is where that sort of almost acrid chemically smell is starting to come from. It gets stronger.
Interesting. Can I place it? With all of my alchemist assistant knowledge from Rurik?
Kiss the barrel.
I would say...
That's what I'm thinking.
No, I don't think you would be able to. No. You haven't been around anyone who's familiar enough with this material to immediately place it. You know what it reminds you of? It reminds you very strongly of like this is going to sound strange, but hear me out. It reminds you very much of like foxholes, like the smell of a filled in foxhole. I don't mean the animal, I mean a hole that people shit in. That's what it kind of has, that acrid, almost poop fart smell.
Excellent.
That was a wonderful description, thank you.
Yep. So I'm going to leave this alone because my interest has waned.
I mean,
I will gather
I will say it's not damp.
Still,
it is dry.
Internally, I'm screaming, "Oh God, it's gunpowder!" and he has a candle.
Yep, that's kind of where I was going. Is it something hazardous, explosive, and so on? I will.
I mean, maybe you have no idea what this is, though.
Excellent. I will snap off the candle. I will leave his hovel. Close the door behind me.
Okay. You leave the hovel.
And I will
close the trapdoor.
And I will leave a gold piece on the floor next to the trapdoor.
Okay, just off to one side. All right, sounds good.
Somewhere noticeable, but not.
Yeah. You find an empty patch, or maybe you push something to the side to make an empty patch, and you leave it directly on the floor. But it's you sort of go down the trapdoor and pop your head up a little bit a couple times to make sure it is obvious as soon as you pop your head up that this is a new addition. It's certainly the cleanest thing in the room.
And you know what? I will make it sparkle.
With?
Prestidigitation.
How long does that last?
An hour.
Oh, does it? Okay. Alright, you prestidigitate.
I believe it does. Let me double check.
I feel like it's a minute.
Nope, it's an hour.
Is it an hour? Okay. So you make it sparkle. We'll see if the goblin gets back here in under an hour, but okay. So you finish up there. Shifting over and rewinding time, it took you about...
I will be right back.
Okay. I'd say oh my goodness, Hoyd was down there for about 10 minutes, so we rewind 10 minutes. The rest of you are all climbing up. Deer is flying up with you, and you all reach the top of the hole, the big giant hole that the false Hydra had dug in the ground. Familiar sights greet you: torn apart buildings, big huge blood smear on the ground. Not pleasant. There are a couple of people milling around, just some people with almost like this sort of shell shock, middle distance look wandering around. A few of the guards are around, sort of cleaning up what they can. And looking around, the goblin is not in immediate eyeshot.
Well, I imagine it probably wouldn't want to be found by anyone who wasn't already aware of him. Although now I worry we won't be able to contact him again.
I think he'll show himself.
I'm gonna remember that I'm a rogue and see if I can figure out, like, what sort of hiding places might be in what there is of the cityscape, you know, like alleys and such.
Sorry, rephrase that? I just didn't quite follow. Because I'm dumb
figuring, like, he's trying to, like, hide from the general population, so I'm gonna look in the normal places where thieves do that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you're gonna sort of lean on your thief training and think about all the various places. I mean, in this area, given the amount of devastation, if you will, you can think of quite a few places that this goblin could be potentially hiding. You don't know the Dimension Door spell, do you?
I don't.
Okay, so you've only seen Prudence do you, so you unless Prudence tells you, you don't know. Oh yeah, no, Prudence used it on you, but you don't know it. Unless Prudence has told you, you wouldn't necessarily know the range limit of this spell. But you, even without looking, even without, hunting around, you can think of within 1,000 feet, there are probably 24 different places a goblin of that size could hide.
I would also like to telepathically ask Deer if she happens to see the goblin through invisibility or some such, if anywhere around in the immediate vicinity.
Okay, so you telepathically ask Deer if she sees anything invisible, and she kind of cocks her head and cricks her back a little bit, and shuffles her wings and looks around and says, "No, it doesn't look like there's anything around here."
Alright, thank you.
Why? What are you expecting?
I was wondering if the goblin showed up here and maybe made himself invisible to hide.
No, I don't see him. And she kind of sniffs the air a little bit. No, I don't smell him either.
I like how bored Deer sounds. I love it.
It's amazing.
I mean, she has an intelligence of 11, so... And, Prudence, you speaking of, thank you for reminding me that you're telepathically bonded. I forgot you were telepathically bonded to Deer. As soon as you're up, you see...
That's a fact I remembered immediately because I freaking love that little aspect of the spell.
Prudence, Deer kind of goes, "Are we done? I'm bored." and as she says bored, you hear her meow with vocally. She goes, "Ah, bored."
I'm going to headcanon that's what Ouija is saying every time he meows.
What they're probably saying is food. But
Yes, Ouija case definitely.
Food! Fuck you, food!
Yeah, that's accurate.
For those unfamiliar, Deer is Prudence's familiar. She is currently a Tressum, which is a combination of an owl and a cat. And Prudence says, "We're done. Would you like to be dismissed?" And she kind of rolls onto her back a little bit, and you can see she sniffs just the ground, as cats tend to do. And she says, "Well, alright. I guess so. It's boring there too." of note, I don't know if I made this obvious the last session when you guys were telepathically communicating with her. She has not missed a beat and is not surprised that you can understand her.
Oh, that's the vibe I got, and it was great.
Prudence says, time passes there? I'll have to hear more of it from you later. And she says, yes, it's something. I don't think you'd fit, but, well, be interesting.
Since I'm not sure where the goblin is, I am going to make back to where I've got my potions and stuff stored and currently brewing, and rummage through my stuff and retrieve the book.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with Zook and try to help with finding the goblin.
Okay. So, Prudence, you snap your fingers, and with a quick flick, she is pulled back into her pocket dimension. Shigun, you're going with Zook. Rurik, you head back into the estate. I believe all your stuff is set up in the room that you're staying in. So you head back up to the estate and grab the book out of your stuff and head back down. Zook and Shigun, to find this goblin, is there anything special that you do, or you just start looking in places where one could hide?
God, we're playing hide and seek in D&D.
I mean, you also haven't gone very far. He could just be out of eyeshot.
Yeah, I'm just kind of peering down.
What's the other group off doing?
So you and Shigun are going off to search for the goblin. At this point, this would actually be right around the time Hoyd is wrapping up, but he hasn't climbed up just yet. Rurik, you're going to the estate. That's going to take you a little bit. Prudence, what are you doing?
Oh, I think I want to go with Rurik.
Prudence is with Rurik. Okay. So, Zook, you're going with Rurik as well into the estate?
Because, I mean, I'm just totally bewildered at this goblin stuff, so...
Okay. Yeah, so you head up into the estate, so it's basically the four of you. Head up into the estate following Rurik. At the front door, you sort of break off. Rurik goes into the room, and the rest of you stay in, not the... foyer is not the right word for it, but sort of the entryway space there. Which is currently devoid of any people. None of the people that you saw working there previously are in the room at the moment. They're probably a little busy dealing with all the dead people.
Yeah, probably.
And there's sort of a moment that passes where you're all kind of looking at each other, wondering where to go. And one of the doors off to the side opens up, and a familiar goblin steps out. And he says, "Well, it took you long enough."
We weren't actually sure where exactly you went.
So Shigun, you'd know it's sort of off in the direction of the storerooms of your estate.
I'm kind of mentally putting two and two together. This is probably how this goblin has been surviving. Yeah, just pilfering food as he needed.
At
least I'm assuming that.
I'm not gonna make you make a check. I think that you'd probably know your own home well enough. You do know like the storerooms and the what's the word where like a place you store all the wine and stuff.
No.
So wine cellar?
Wine cellar. There's a better word for it though. But anyway,
There-
that sort of idea. You
winery.
do know that they're down below the ground floor, and you do a quick, well, mental calculation would be a stretch for you, but you do a quick estimate, And not to say you're dumb.
14,
You're
yeah.
just you're not the most intelligent. No, you have a 14 in intelligence. You have a pretty
Smarter
good
than
idea of-
Hoy, technically.
Technically, yes. You do some
You are
quick,
well learned.
you do some quick figuring. I mean, this is also your home, so you do
Yeah.
some quick figuring, and you realize, yeah, the one of the wine storerooms is just about within 500 feet from where you were standing. So, yeah, that's where he went, and you can see he's holding a small. He's got like a roll, like a bread roll, in one hand. There's a big bite out of it. And as he looks up at you, Shigun, he realizes that he's holding it, and he kind of like, oh, and he like tosses it behind him into the door.
No. It's fine. It's just a small piece of bread. I'm not going to hold that against you. It's fine.
Oh, good. You see, he reaches one hand behind the door, and then when the hand comes back, the bread's back in his hand.
Like I said, we mean you no harm. We just want to talk and figure all this out. I'm sure you've seen the outside, what this Hydra has done to my home.
Oh, yes. Is mess. Is
Yes.
big mess.
Rurik, why don't you go fetch that book that you mentioned, and maybe we can figure this out with our little goblin friend here.
Yes. I shall retrieve and procure and offer the book to the goblin.
Okay. So you head off to your living quarters, or your temporary living quarters, and you retrieve the book, and when you come back, as you walk into the room, you don't even have to present the book to him. The goblin immediately lights up and scurries over and like starts doing grabby hands towards it.
Oh my god. Shigun just gave me a great mental. Oh, aren't you excited? But yes,
Do you hand it the book?
I am back.
Oh, you made it sound like he was just like he was grabbing it. I'm sorry. Yes, I am. I let him take it.
Okay, yeah, no, so when I say grabby hands, I mean like he's reaching out towards it and sort of like just clutching his hands. He's not actually reaching and taking it from you. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. I get it now.
So you hand the book over to him, and he like practically desperately pulls open the book and flips through the pages rapidly, and he eventually settles on one of the pages, with one of the pages with almost a like artistic, detailed drawing, not a diagram, not an anatomical diagram of this thing, but like a like a monster manual image of it, basically. And he sort of presses his palm on it, and he closes his eyes, and he says, "That's better." And he looks up at you and sort of looks all at the rest of you.
How do you mean?
Well, this thing had a small side effect. It took a piece of me to keep myself safe from it. This book, it's where that piece went. By the way, this isn't a mistake. He is actually speaking in a different voice now.
I see.
Interesting.
Huh. So you bargained with it for your safety?
Not exactly. You see, there are certain, how do we say, talents that one might possess. The ability to manipulate the memories of another. Unfortunately, some of these take a bit of a toll. And, well,
You were quite.
he kind of just shrugs and
certain-
glances at the book.
Well, you're certainly a lot more eloquent than we initially met.
Well, yes. Side effect of losing half your mind.
Wait till Hoyd sees this.
Speaking of, I'm afraid we've failed to rather rudely lack to introduce ourselves. My name is Rurik, and these are my colleagues.
Rurik, yes. Rurik, and he points to the rest of you. Colleague 1, Colleague 2, Colleague 3, and the door opens and Hoyd steps in the room. Colleague 4.
Colleague 4?
And
I'm insulted.
You have no context for this new voice. And Prudence, as he points at you and says Colleague 3, you say, Prudence. And he says, yes, Colleague 3, Prudence.
Goodness. They signed us numbers.
I think Prudence and
Hoyd is insulted at being called 4.
And yet, here we are.
Hear that, Hoyd? You're Colleague 4 now, apparently.
Yes, I heard that.
Yes, well, you did have the unfortunate side effect of being the last to the group. Therefore, you get the last number.
And who do we have the pleasure of meeting?
Yes, he kind of dusts himself off, and you can see he starts to sort of dust his tunic off and looks down and just has this look of disgust in his face, and he quickly
Yes,
taps...
you're a goblin, we get it.
He points to you and just gives you a look of like, you watch yourself. And he taps himself in the center of his chest, and all of the dust and grime on his clothes just about a foot away from him, almost in a bubble, and then settles on the ground away from him. As he prestidigitates all of the dust and grime off of his clothing.
So, did you give him the book? Is that what this is all about?
Yes. Apparently the book did work wonders for him.
His
Okay.
Of note, he's still holding the book open to the page that he had pressed his hand down on.
Oh no.
And he says, well, what now?
Indeed, what now? I asked for your name.
Yes, that's right, Colleague 4. And he goes and he, like, even though you're some distance away, he sort of, like, air pats you on the head. And as he does so, you see a mage hand cast out and pat you on the head.
I high five the mage hand.
High five.
Well, you go to, and it's sort of like away from you because that's not what it's intending to do.
Slow.
And you
I will
pats you
be-
on the head. Too slow, exactly.
I will be put out that I didn't manage my intent.
And he says, my name is Gerri.
Gerri?
Gerri? Surely you have a better name than that.
Well, not a better name I'm willing to give you.
Ugh.
And you're gonna be real mad at me when I spell it in the text chat.
I knew a comedian named Gerri once. It's a fine name.
Oh.
Gerri with a G.
And an I.
And an I.
I love
Because you need to be different.
There's another reason that you'd use an I at the end of that name, not just for being different.
I honestly don't know.
It's the female
Are
version
you-
of the name.
Are you trying to say that the goblin is named Gerri?
No, it's Gerri.
No, there are no French accents in this world. It's Gerri.
Oh no, there are French accents. You're just in the wrong part of the world.
Shortening of Gerald.
That's over on the other side of the bay. The other side of the Azure Sea from you.
So we're in England.
No, it's you're closer to being in Canada.
So we're in Euro Mongrel right now.
I mean, welcome to the entirety of Greyhawk, really.
Yep. So, Gerri, were you... Pleasure to meet you?
Yes, you as well, colleague 4.
My name is Hoyd.
Yes, you as well, colleague 4. Hoyd. He kind of... Every time he says someone's name instead of their number, he kind of squints his eye as if trying to remember. You've no idea
Here,
whether
let's
it
try
works
this.
or not, but...
Let's try this again. I am Hoyd. You are Gerri. Hoyd. Gerri.
He kind of cocks an eyebrow. Yes, I understand how names work.
Excellent. So, who are you?
Me? Oh, I'm just a wanderer. I came here looking
That's
for...
a good one.
No. 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 And if you're listening to this only text chat, no, I'm so disappointed in you right now.
You're welcome.
Anyway. Anyway, he says,
I'm sorry, I can't stop
That
laughing.
needs to be in the title.
I came here because, I was too, how do we say, weak, perhaps, to be with other goblins. Then I saw that thing. And, well...
So how did you remember seeing that thing that I'm assuming is the Hydra?
How could you not?
We all forgot we saw it.
It possesses some form of memory manipulation magic.
Well, maybe that's part of it. I happen to possess a certain understanding of the mind.
Have you lost yours?
I think Gerri needs to say they're immune to the effects.
Lost and found again, yes. Thanks to your
Could
friend here.
you teach these tricks?
He kind of cracks a smile. For the right price, perhaps.
Oh, of course. Of course.
It's only your least favorite words, Boyd.
My most favorite words are someone else is paying.
There's, you know, you're not the first to try and find something of this nature. I know what I have. It's a very powerful thing in this world to be able to prevent yourself from being influenced.
You don't say.
Prudence, you cut in. How much? And he looks over and says, well, someone's interested. By the looks of you, you're a mage of some kind, are you not? More refined.
He's a major mage.
More refined, perhaps, than this one. He kind of, like, gives a dismissive gesture in the direction of Void. But not quite so self-righteous as this one. He gestures over toward Rurik. And you gather, not from his tone of voice, he's not intending it in a demeaning way, but he has opinions about certain types of magic, so...
I figured.
Prudence, you nod, and it's a wizard. That means I'm always broke, so you had better give me a good deal. He says, well... I don't know about a good deal, but I am open to trades. It's not always gold that's valuable, yes? But only for you. For your friend, your colleague number 4 here, I think that he would likely incur some sort of gold cost.
I will accept no charity from you.
Good.
However, I am curious.
There are ways of strengthening the mind keeping it from attack. Now, I must warn you, the methods that I use are imperfect, obviously. This creature had some influence on me, and I was able to negate some of those effects by transferring them over to this. He sort of holds up the book, but it took a piece of myself in the process. So anything less perhaps would be more effective, but something of this nature would be a bit more difficult for me to teach. The problem is I don't exactly know how I do it all the time. It's sort of more of a how would I put this? Sort of more of a method than any sort of ability or spell.
Is your true form that of a goblin, or are you someone else?
This? Oh, no. Unfortunately, this is my flesh.
Interesting.
Yes, it is interesting.
How would a goblin learn such magic? I've never met an intelligent goblin before.
Make a persuasion check. As he is going to make an insight check against you.
27?
I'm gonna put my faith in the poop die.
Oh wait, no, Prudence.
Nope.
Prudence
he rolls a 4. That's fine. On the poop die, I rolled a 3, so he actually rolled better. Thank you.
Yep. So it's against the 27 anyway.
But against the 27, regardless of the result, yes, that is a pretty significant difference.
Yep.
He kind of glances around the room. Of note, you are currently alone in the room. He says, well, it's not necessarily learning so much as being granted, if you will.
Interesting.
There's certain, your friend here is familiar. He kind of cocks his head over toward Rurik. Is familiar with the idea of receiving abilities from creatures beyond your own talent.
So an outside power granted you this ability?
Of sorts.
Interesting. See, I initially thought you were a sorcerer.
No, unfortunately, I was not born with this talent. Not born with the talent, sadly.
Speaking of talent rather than learning. But now that something has granted you this power, you formed a pact, haven't you?
No, nothing so binding. I asked a favor. It gave it to me. And we went on our way. Everything else was all me.
And now I have to ask, what was that favor? Not many beings would ask something of a mortal.
I asked her to make me smart.
I see.
And she did.
What did you give?
I gave nothing.
I doubt that.
You can see for yourself. He goes to gesture at his head. He goes to gesture at his head and he says, "Oh wait, no, you can't, can you? Make an insight check."
Why is caps lock on?
That's a good question. Why is caps lock on?
I would like to ask Rurik for help on this one.
I don't think you can help with an insight check. Unless he
'Cause I'm great at-
unless he cast guidance, but there's no way he would have known you were making this check.
Because I'm great at deceiving people, but not telling people.
With a
It was
12,
a 12. Yep.
he seems sincere.
Okay.
I mean, you're familiar with people who are in warlock pacts. I mean, you've met Merrick. Merrick is a warlock. And you've met others who are in warlock pacts, and something is the way that he's describing this relationship is different. Something's
Yep.
you don't
That's
know
what I'm
it
gathering.
is, but something's different about it.
This is a standard power for your soul kind of pact.
I mean, not every NPC has character classes, so
Well, fine. Metagame. Prudence, what's your take on this?
I believe Prudence left to get
You have to
food.
go get a sandwich.
Fine. Rurik, what's your take on this?
I don't really know.
Prudence left,
one way or
really?
another. I'm just
No, we lost Zook. Oh, there he is.
I don't really know one way or another. I'm more interested in, now that you have regained your lost sense of self, what will you do now?
I'm curious as well.
Well, first I'd like you to escort me out of the city and keep the guard from attacking me. They tend to do that.
Of course.
He looks up at you, Shigun, and he gives you a very knowing look.
As I said, I gave you my word. No harm will come to you in this town.
Well, good. And I will hold you to that. Now, I would like to be escorted out of the city, and I have a few friends that I need to contact. There's,
Where exactly do you need to meet them?
I don't know, that's necessarily your right to know. I
think he was asking more in the case of, where would you like us to escort you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
so-
do you just want to be outside the town?
Simply to the gates is enough. I'm sure I'll be able to find them on my own. My old friends tend to be not difficult to find.
I mean, I suppose that's fair. Not too far from the gate.
I mean,
I have
you
a
are-
few more questions
You
before
are
we leave
literally
this.
you are literally as far as you can get from any gate at the moment, but that's fine.
I'm speaking in relative terms.
I know. What's up, Hoyd?
So, seeing that you are capable, why did you need the protection of the Hydra?
Oh, I didn't need it, but expending. In order to keep myself able to remember, I had to lose part of myself. And the more I lost, the more I became what I was. Scared. Simple. It's very difficult. You know, one day you wake up not remembering who you are, and there's this thing blocking the path. Where you are is the safest place to be.
So you basically traded yourself for safety.
In a manner of speaking.
Matters. Considering that Thang's abilities, I can't say I rightfully blame you. I'm not entirely sure what decision I would make in that particular situation myself. But if you require an escort outside the gates, I'd be more than happy to oblige.
That would be wonderful. He thinks for a moment. No. There's nothing more I need. If we can go now, I'd be glad to get out of this. No offense. Looks to Shigun. No offense. This hellhole.
Considering what you've gone through, I don't blame you.
Before we set out, I have one more question for you. Do you know it? I'm very bad at wording this thing, but I'm intending to ask him or whatever.
Yeah,
the
no, that's.
gender is,
Go
actually.
ahead and phrase it the way you want, and I'll figure out a way for Rurik to have said
intending to-
this.
I am intending to ask them about if they have any knowledge on like the ritual soul sealing stuff that I'm currently looking into.
Okay. So you describe the sort of the soul. Why am I blanking? The soul, not absorption, but the soul sealing ritual that pulls souls from people and is the basis for the curse.
Yes, and I'm specifically wanting to know if they have any idea of how that might be undone.
And he says he listens and he kind of nods, not with agreement but with understanding. He says, well, I don't. That's a bit outside my field, I'm afraid.
I understand.
Sounds awful, though.
It's affected my life quite drastically, unfortunately. That and not only my life, but many others as well.
Yes, I'd imagine so. Sounds just awful. No, I'm sorry. Despite my relative articulation, I am relatively new to this magic thing.
I know exactly how that feels, strangely enough.
Oh, good. Then, I don't recall if you've ever... I don't think you told him... Oh, no, you did introduce yourself. That's right. He says, well, yes, well, at least we're in good company, Rurik. Shall we? He sort of gestures with the hand that's holding the book, gestures out the door. Oh, wait! He sort of turns around and scurries back, and then he returns to the door, and he's got like a small handful of rolls, just like bread rolls.
Do you need a pouch or a bag to hold those in?
He glances down. No, they'll be gone by the end of the day.
Fair enough. I suppose if our business here is concluded, I can see you outside the villa.
Excellent. And
what about your little room down there? Are there any belongings you have to fetch from there?
No, there's really nothing of value down there. There's like some coins. There's a big barrel of something. Don't know what it's for, but it's there. Smells like shit.
See.
So, what was that barrel?
Couldn't tell you. I woke up and it was there. That's the problem when you start to lose a bit of yourself. Sometimes the piece that you lost is the piece that put it there. It's an imperfect practice. I don't always get everything back every time.
Was that space created by you, or was it, or did you just find your stuff there?
No, I dug it out. I found myself. I tripped into the hole. I knew it was there. I figured I'd be able to avoid it, and then I didn't. And then I had a hard time getting out again. Because that thing was standing at the top, and I didn't want to get eaten. So I did what I could. I dug a hole a little further in, and then I started losing more of myself, and that became where I lived.
I'm sorry you've lived such an unfortunate life for this time.
Well, I'm sorry for everyone else here. At least I'm alive.
I'm glad we were able to help you regain your self back.
Yes. Well, let's hope I can find my friends and make right the things that they've done wrong. Anyway, that is a problem for later. Shall we?
I am good.
I have no further objections. How about you guys?
I'm good. I have a few private questions, but beyond that, we're all set.
I am a problem for later.
You can be. Who knows?
It's forest pool that'll help us later.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's the crowbar in Prudence's backpack. All right. So you guys head out. There isn't really like any attack or aggressive movement toward the goblin. There's just a couple of kind of confused looks cast in your direction as you're escorting this goblin out of the city.
Yeah.
It was
I think between Shigun and I, we can handle it.
Yeah, you gather it was sort of a mixture of paranoia and sort of a lingering fear from his former self.
Right.
Keeping that idea in line. Hoyd, what did you mean by private questions? Like, are you going to be messaging him while you're walking, or?
Yes. Do I need to speak to message?
No. You speak the verbal component, so others know you're casting a spell, but the actual message you speak is only heard by the recipient.
Excellent. That'll do.
Horrible thought. Can the spoken component be okay, Google?
Only for arcane casters. For divine casters, it's Hey Alexa.
And before anybody listening to this video, it's like audibly just triggers some.
Yeah, it's Hey Alexa, and Alexa never actually listening to you, so you just yell at it more.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty great soon.
Carry on.
Anyway, moving on. What's your... So that, I mean, if you're not attempting to hide it, the rest of you know that you're doing it. But, you know, like I said, he's the only one that he hears the message. Everybody else knows you're casting the spell, and they've seen you cast it a bunch, so they know you're casting message, but they know that they can't hear it unless you intend them to.
Hoyd is doing a Hoyd thing.
Hoyd's doing a Hoyd thing?
And being sneaky as fuck about it.
Well, are you actually trying to be sneaky, or...?
No, I don't care if the party sees me casting this thing, but
Okay.
it's a private conversation for me and him.
What you're saying is you're casting the verbal opponent with ventriloquism.
Oh, God.
Yes, I'm making Rurik cast this.
Using ventriloquy to disguise the fact that you're speaking.
Is that 25 words? 25 characters? Whatever.
Message doesn't... It's sending that has a limit.
Okay.
Message has to fit within 6 seconds, really.
Yeah, that does.
It's not a... Yeah. Yeah, the thing
I'm not going to paragraph.
Yeah, the thing that you sent would be acceptable for message.
Nibbler. Oh, you're doing this actually privately. I see.
So as this is going on, this is something that we can sort of do in the background as other things are going on. So
we can do this off session too.
yeah, this can be off session. You get to the gate, and Gerri sort of takes a step away from the rest of you. That's their name.
Gerri the Goblin. I get it.
This character has been sitting in this notebook for like 8 months now. I'm not even joking.
I know. And you had 8 months to come up with a better name.
I didn't want to. Let's be honest.
I think Jerry's a fine name.
Jerry's wonderful.
Jerry's not their original name, but who knows what their original name is now? You lost the chance to ask.
It wasn't Dib.
Mm-mm. Oh no, you're intimately familiar with what Dib looks like. This is not Dib. And you escort Gerri over to the gates, and as you know, there's a slightly increased guard presence at the gate, and you can now see Shigun. You didn't order this, but you now see all of the guards have what appear to be sort of steel mirrors clipped to their belts. And every so often, one of them will just like take a glance around using it.
I just kind of nod silently to myself, acknowledging that.
I will find. Can I find one of the guards isolated? Not totally isolated, but socially isolated.
I mean, they're all on duty, so none of them are like milling around talking to each other. They are all like actively separated from each other and looking in different directions to be guards.
Gotcha.
So there's no social,
will...
there's no social separation to be had, really.
All right, I will approach one of them, and what is the mirror for? You don't need that. Use these instead, and I give them a piece of my candle.
And the guard takes them and says, "Well, how else are we supposed to find it? How else are we supposed to know to use these?"
You idiot! It's all about sound. Put them in your ear, and you'll see everything you want.
Right, but then I can't hear anything.
That's your problem. Goodbye.
Yes, it is, and you're just walking away. Okay, you just walk away.
Yep.
And as Hoyd is walking away, you see the guard kind of like goes like this sort of like confused, like, who is this person look over to Shigun.
Shigun is just predisposed at the moment, cleaning up cat puke.
Oh, well, tell him to stop that. No, that's fine.
Stop cleaning up? I know, that's gross.
It's not super important, that's fine. It's just a little small aside. Alright, so you get out to the gate, and Gerri kind of looks at you all and nods, and one by one you see he casts out Mage Hand and individually shakes each of your hand using Mage Hand. And they say, well, I guess this is it for now. Thank you. Feel free to help yourself to whatever you find down in the hole. I don't really care about it anymore, so hopefully the next time we meet will be under significantly improved circumstances, yeah?
I hope for the same, and I wish you well.
Yes. I hope you have a safe journey.
Well, where I'm going isn't all that safe. Well, not all that safe for them, but we'll see. And with that, without elaborating, they turn around and start walking down the road.
That was certainly an interesting
Wizards.
character.
But there wasn't anything particularly malicious down there.
I will admit, I was a bit concerned when he started using magic, because I wasn't quite sure what to expect.
Unfortunately, we're no closer to figuring out exactly why or how the Hydra is here,
Well,
but maybe they just was.
I'm willing to believe he was just,
As they're walking away, they call over their shoulder and say, "I'll be sure to take care of whoever brought this to you." And that's it.
Right, what? Right, the book?
He doesn't elaborate on whatever he just said. He's walking. He's
Oh,
gone.
no,
He's out of sight now.
I'm asking the party, like, what the hell did that mean?
Do you think he's talking about the false Hydra?
Maybe.
Hail?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Wait.
No! Stop it!
I have a feeling he wouldn't tell us even if we asked.
You're probably not wrong. Well, I'm glad that ended as well as it could have, I suppose.
So, what's the plan now?
Well, I'm gonna go back and check on my potion and make sure everything's fine.
I mean,
Okay.
I understand if it's a bit much to ask, but
No, go for it.
I'm kind of getting sleepier than I was expecting. So, like, maybe could we wrap up the session?
Sure. I mean, it's a decent enough ending point. I just want to confirm with the rest of the group. Are there any immediate plans? What are we looking to do now that Gerri's wandered off? The false Hydra is dead and decaying. What's the plan?
I think the immediate plan is fallout from.
I know you're currently dealing with the fallout from everyone suddenly realizing half the town is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention, we're still technically on the run from Merrick. We don't know what he's been up to the last few days.
And I'm still trying to figure out stuff about this, how to undo this demon ritual shit.
And we also have Larasa's original mission, where we were supposed to go to the one place, the one city with the fake documents. What was the name of that city again? The port town, whatever?
Dullstrand.
That's it, yes, thank you.
Yes,
The what? The what?
right there, Dullstrand. Yes, Hoyd was not there for that. No,
I imagine at some
you were
point
there
we
for the
probably
conversation
explained it.
where they. No, you were there for the conversation where Larasa was like, "I can't leave Gar. You go to Dullstrand for me." You were there for that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's also Hoyd paying attention to things that are immediately pertinent to him, which that is not.
Fair. Prudence suggests that his immediate plan, my immediate plan, is to explore the Goblin Hole and then deal with the dragon.
Excellent. I've explored it. It's not wonderful. Feel free. I will hold your bag
Any money?
a little bit.
Did
Oh,
you
that's
find
right.
anything else?
He left the town. His goods are ours. That's how adventuring works, right?
Yes,
Technically,
the last.
they fall under the purview of my estate.
I mean,
but-
I think
I was gonna
I think
say.
the fact of importance here is that he said that we can just have whatever's there.
Right, he did explicitly say that. I didn't realize I was quoting Prudence, but yes, he did explicitly say that you could have whatever shit was in there that he didn't care about. So
Literally, he's leaving at the barrel of poo.
all right. Well, now I see the real question. The real reason for my question is now I know what to prepare for next time.
Meanwhile, Ember's all like, I was hoping they'd do more with it.
I would also recommend that once we have finished with the goblin hovel, in order to stave off further rot and decay and other such nonsense, I suggest we torch the contents at the bottom of that pit.
That's right. False
Didn't I-
Hydra's.
didn't I-
false Hydra. Oh no, you didn't. It was already burned. I believe.
Didn't
Holy
I ask Rurik to do that?
I know
I was
somebody.
asked to do it, but I didn't get a chance to.
Right. Because you're new to this whole being a light cleric thing.
Yeah.
Yes. We
wanted
were
to.
also going down into the hole shortly after, so I felt it unwise to torch it while we were there.
We also would have killed Gerri if we did,
Yes.
possibly.
All right.
Yeah.
So on that note, as we're having this discussion, we can continue this discussion after the session. Sorry about it being a short session, but no big deal. We'll pick up next week. Not next week. The week after next. We'll be picking up on the 1st of October. We start these sessions at 7. I was thinking 1900 and I just chopped off the 1. We start these sessions at 7 p.m. Eastern. I also run a Monday group that's going to be running this Monday, the 20th of September. They start at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Look,
So, as always, thank you guys so much for coming in and watching, and thank you guys so much for coming and playing. Have a good night.
Yep.